For more on how to position and what the ad environment looks like, let's bring in Jefferies analyst Brent Thill, along with Mark Douglas, who is the CEO of advertising tech firm Mountain. Welcome to you both. Brent, let's start super tactically with the M's after the bell today. What's key to watch for on each front, do you think?
Meta is going to be the ad environment, and what we saw with Snap pulling guide and saying the environment's getting a little bit worse. So I think the first thing that goes in a recession or a downturn is advertising, and they obviously have incredible exposure. They have one of the best position platforms, and we think there's a huge call option on Llama, which is their open source model that they just held a conference on this week. So we're bullish long term. I think tactically that the challenge remains ultimately what's happening in the overall ad environment. And if we continue on the path we're going with tariffs, there's no chance that the ad environment gets better. It's going to get worse. And so it's all about the guide on Meta.
Can I interrupt you before you go to Microsoft and just ask, because Llama is becoming more and more used. It's wonderful that this open source model can now potentially bring startup companies to the frontier, for instance. But how does Meta monetize that?
Good question. Today, it is not a big opportunity. They've called this out that it's not being monetized. But we think, like what happened with Red Hat and Linux, they can emulate the same model and create a commercial wrap or a platform around the free open source. What Red Hat did is charged a fee for higher end usage, for advanced features, for updates. There's absolutely 100% chance they do this, in my opinion. They could spin the asset off. They could create this commercial wrapper internally. It's getting incredible rave reviews. You have the closed source model with OpenAI. You have an open source model with Llama and DeepSeek. And we keep hearing many companies want to go to Llama and embrace both models. And there'll be multiple models. So they are one of the best positioned in open source. Yeah. For this. Or
maybe to put it differently, get the users and then monetize it later on, something to that effect. So on Microsoft, is it about the cloud? Is it about, CapEx? What do you think the fulcrum point is?
Azure and CapEx. So Azure has been decelerating. Amy Hood is one of the best CFOs I've ever worked with. But she's 2 for 3 at the plate on the miss. She's only made one of the last 3 quarters. And so there's been this, what's going on? Is this OpenAI relationship changing? Is the demand environment changing? Then you've seen all these reports about CapEx and data centers being cut. What's going on? And so I think there's a ton of drama right now, and they need to clear up what's happening in CapEx and ultimately what's really happening with Azure. Because it's not, they've been in the cadence of beating in the last 3 quarters. Again, 2 of the last 3 quarters, they've missed the number. So that remains the focus, CapEx, and then Office 365 with Copilot. There's been a lot of concern about Copilot slowing. Is adoption continuing? Those will all be factors. Ultimately, it's going to be how are enterprises feeling on demand, given everything that's going on in all the headwinds we're seeing in the macro.
Although both of you, and Mark, I'll turn to you on this, sound pretty positive on Meta, and maybe that's because the advertising market for now is holding up okay, although the data point from Snap could be telling us a slightly different story. Maybe Meta's a little bit more core. Mark, how do you see ad trends playing out right now?
Yeah, so I think the real data point is Google. So Google had a good quarter. And the way these performance advertisers, who are the majority of revenue in Google and Meta, view it is they are not buying ads. They are buying revenue. They are literally allocating how much of my revenue am I going to get from search? How much am I going to get from social? And in tough economic times, the last thing you're going to cut is the thing that's most directly relating to revenue. So Google had a good quarter. And if they're having a good quarter, I think it tends to be Meta's going to be even better.